Hi, it's Taylor, and thanks for tuning into my channel. Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk briefly about the 5 stages of relationship development, but I'm adding my spin on it, which is the 5 levels in vetting for relationships. Now, I don't know if you've done your own research on the stages of relationships, but there's so many differences of opinion about what these 5 stages, or 6 sometimes, really are. So I'm going to quickly go through the 5 stages of relationship that I like to use. Stage 1, the honeymoon stage, of course. That's the one when everything's great. That's what movies are made of. It's the passion, the romance, the excitement, the butterflies, and basically no problems, right? Just getting the girl or the guy. Now, the second stage is the reality check, right? Where you kind of realize they're a real person, they have flaws, you're confronted with things you don't like, things kind of settle down. It's a little bit of that slump, right? Like you've ridden the high of the adrenaline and then all of a sudden there's a lull and you're faced with reality. The third stage is the power struggle stage. Now, this is the stage where, as a retired marriage therapist, I would get a lot of clients in the power struggle stage. And so that's when people get stuck in this competitive zone where they just want things to be their way, they want to be right, and they don't see eye to eye. They see their differences as bad things, and they're not quite sure how to transition into more of a interdependent relationship, right? It's more like, this is my life and you're changing it, and I don't like these changes that it requires to have you in it, and vice versa. And so that can be really difficult and people can get stuck there. So once you resolve your power struggle stage, you're going to end up in the 4th stage, which is stability. It's where you establish a secure attachment with your partner, where you realize that you're a team and you're working together against the problems. And the differences that you have only make you stronger. And you're not each other's enemies and you don't compete. You collaborate and cooperate with each other to meet the needs of the relationship, to meet your partner's core needs. Obviously, there's some that you have to be able to meet, like the sexuality need in my 8 intimacies. But you also need to meet your own needs, and you need to make sure that there's that very balanced interdependence between the two of you so that you're seen as a unit, but you also don't neglect what you need as an individual in regards to your happiness, your health, and your vitality. So the next stage is the commitment and legacy stage, stage 5. And this is where marriage comes into play. And you're definitely going to be discussing and resolving any issues in the future that will be relevant to sharing a household together in your various roles and responsibilities, and the leadership that's required, the decision-making process, problem-solving process, finances, parenting, and all of the above. Having that shared mission together and also fitting together in your individual ways. So you both can have different interests and purposes, but they should fit together well so that they're not competing interests, because you have to have one solid, unified front. You're a team for the long haul. And so those are the 5 stages that I generally use when I'm working with clients and how I'm teaching people to expect the natural development of a relationship to go. Now, interestingly enough, you can cycle through these stages. If you just imagine you've been together for 2 or 3 years and you go through those stages as an unmarried couple, but then you transition into fiance and then spouse, it can start over a little bit, right? It's not necessarily a linear process, because after you're married, you might be riding that wave of excitement and you're back in the honeymoon phase, and that's okay. But ultimately, any of the problems should already be resolved, but there may be some sort of, I wouldn't call it regression, but recycling of certain stages of the relationship development as life happens. Big events might happen. You have a baby and then it's kind of stressful. You might have a little bit of a power struggle, but you should resolve that and it should be smooth sailing. You just have to sort of take all the obstacles head on and see them as opportunities to grow and develop as a team. Next, I want to talk about my 5 vetting levels. If you're new to my work, it's really important for you to understand the difference between vetting and dating. So vetting is about getting to know you. It's really about determining whether someone is relationship material, if they're compatible and they're suitable for you to date. Dating is being exclusive with someone. So whether or not that's sexual exclusivity, you're at least emotionally exclusive to this one person. And so as you get to know them deeper, you're going to be determining if this relationship has legs. So let me explain the 5 levels to you. Level 1 of vetting is the getting to know you phase in the beginning, where you may be getting to know a couple of people or a handful of people. It's just basically being single and being a friendly human being and getting to know people. Now, once you get to know someone enough that you realize you have feelings for them, you have genuine interest for them, and then you escalate to level 2 vetting, which is sexual and emotional exclusivity. That's when you're starting some kind of relationship, but you're not really prescribing what it is. You don't have to plan it all out because you're not going to force it, you're not going to jump ahead, and you're not going to rush. You're going to let time unfold and organically reveal what kind of connection you have with this person. So you're just basically committing to exclusivity. You're not going to be vetting other people, you're just vetting one-to-one. Now, as you go on and you discover things about the other person, about their personality and temperament and character, and any of the little nuances, quirks, it could be your trade-offs, your must-haves, your deal breakers, just getting more in depth into understanding a person at their core and how you coexist together and share a life, an intimate life together, whether you're living together or not. And so you might end up just ending it at that point, and it's a short-term healthy relationship, and that's great. I think that's better than most people do these days. But maybe you realize this relationship really has legs. Like it's gonna stick around, it's going really well, and you're enjoying it and it's benefiting you. A relationship should make you and your life better, not worse. And so if all is going well, so then you get to level 3 vetting, which is life partnership, which is basically pre-engagement, but you've settled in, maybe you're living together, but you're definitely on a serious path, maybe a couple of years together, and you're really determining whether you're ready and capable of committing to each other for a lifelong marital commitment. So in this stage, you're going to be dealing with maybe more serious issues. You're going to start to talk about some of those deeper matters around marriage and family and future. And you're going to be facing a lot more, I wouldn't say problems, but you're going to be facing a lot more challenges together. Life is going to get trickier, life is going to get more real, and you're going to be exploring how you work together as a team. Now, all going well, you're going to graduate to level 4, which is the engagement stage. Now, at this stage, you're still vetting because you're going through the last leg of opportunities to see the shadow or any kind of significant problems that could surface before you make that lifelong commitment by marrying each other. And wedding planning is definitely one of those things that can test you. So you're going to be, if you haven't already, meeting each other's family, you might be traveling together, and you're preparing for that merger. Engagement is the time to really look at all of those logistics and be ready to confront all of those real life matters that marriage brings to the table. So you can enjoy the marriage. The marriage is not just about the wedding. The wedding should be the reward for doing all the hard work of vetting along the way. That takes a different amount of time for every person, depending on the context, your age and stage of life, and how much you value marriage. Maybe if you're not sexually active before marriage, that might motivate you to get married sooner, but I absolutely encourage you to take at least a minimum of 1 year to go through the levels of vetting and to decide whether you're ready to marry someone. Don't worry if it takes a little bit longer than a year or two, if it's a year, 2 years, 3 years even, but once it gets beyond that, you may want to reconsider, am I holding back for a particular reason? Are there things that I'm afraid to confront? Am I scared of something? And if you're able to talk with them, great. If not, I would definitely reach out to someone like me or even a therapist and see what it is that's holding you back, that's keeping you resistant or hesitant to escalate the relationship further. And you should definitely talk to your partner if it's something that you want, because if it's not something that they want and they just want to stay in a cohabitating relationship, then it's really good for you to know, you should absolutely know through the vetting process if you have those shared values. Now, if you have those shared values and they're just not discussing it or bringing it to the table, they're not proposing, then you need to look at what's going on and be realistic about it. So don't be afraid to bring it up. You're not being too forward. By that time, it should be well established that you have difficult conversations and you're able to be honest about the things that you need and the questions that you have without demanding, just very tactfully and respectfully bringing up those difficult conversations. Now, hopefully it isn't difficult. Hopefully it all goes according to plan and it feels like a very smooth process and you feel certain, as certain can be, once you get married, and then you don't have to vet anymore. You've made the decision, you've done the work, and now you get to enjoy the process of living a life as a married couple. Now, getting to level 5 doesn't mean that all your work is done. It just means that your vetting work is done, because you can't get complacent when you're married just because you've reached the finish line. That is so important to remember. And the work should be easy when you've vetted well. You should have a natural flow of tension and comfort with your spouse, and you should be happy. It should make you feel good and it should benefit you to contribute to the relationship and to meet the needs of your partner and to keep things interesting and vibrant and alive between you and your spouse. But those are the 5 levels of vetting, and those were the 5 stages of relationship development that I think are really helpful to prepare for and to consider when you're ready for a relationship. It's not always a linear path, but it certainly is worth it. If you do the work right from the beginning, then it makes your job so much easier in the long run. Think about it as an investment in you and in your future, and it's definitely going to pay you tenfold in dividends. So don't be afraid to do the work and do things properly from the beginning, because it will absolutely increase your overall quality of life. I hope you enjoyed this video. So give this a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more videos. Ciao!